We have cable this evening, but no one else is recording other than Mike, who's
No.
secretary. No. You could just look at the minutes.
Not a correction, but yes, definitely nothing has to be changed for this one, but it's Patrick, not Pat.
Oh.
You know, what I do is I just abbreviate the name since I was
That's fine,
I mean, you know, in my notes I abbreviate.
That's fine, no, I'll make a motion to approve the December 4th minute.
I wasn't here.
Well, here's Don, so,
Okay.
I'll second as corrected because Don wasn't here, so he can't.
Scrambling.
That's fine, thank you. I wasn't sure whether you were going to make it or not, so we just started. We just approved the minutes for December 4. And on the table, you will see the site plan for the Island Terrace, their new septic system. I'm just very grateful that it worked out so that the system could go on their property, and we didn't have to worry about moving it off-site.
Is that where it's going?
Yeah, it's going on their property up in with the nursing home.
This was the plan that was in the paper last summer or something like that, or?
Well, last summer
reading
they were
something about it.
thinking of trying to get it onto town property, onto
Right.
something that was under a conservation restriction.
Yeah.
And DEP is allowing them to put it up here, so. Well, it's really, it's all over. They're having to redo wells and it's a very complicated plan.
Didn't they say that their schedule was to have it done like early summer or something like that? It was incredible how quickly they intended to complete it.
Well, they're going to be before the planning board on January 14. As I say, I'm just really grateful that it's going on their property and we don't have to worry about anything else. So unless someone else wants to spend more time perusing the plan, or Don, if you'd like to take the plan home with you to I don't need it. I'm more than willing to pass them out. This is far too complicated an engineering feat for me to even try to focus on.
So they're very
Are we being asked for an opinion or decision or
This
comments?
is part of the site plan review. The process that it goes to various boards and commissions for their comments. And as I said, the only comment that I would have is thank you for keeping it out of the CR.
Yeah, that's great.
Mike, if I understood correctly, they're not actually increasing the number of beds at the home. They're taking semi-private rooms and making them private, which will allow them to actually create more income.
Oh man, I don't remember, but that was my impression that it was not really an expansion.
Yeah.
they were taking out a cottage, so that a residence was being removed, or, am I wrong?
Well, I think it's one that wasn't being used.
Well, then but there was also there was an old carriage house or something like
Yeah,
that
the
that's gonna
carriage
become,
houses,
yeah.
yeah.
But I thought there was another residence they were taking out too, that was the only one.
A garage, I thought.
Well, yeah. But the building is going to remain, and it will be storage,
Okay.
without any bathroom facilities.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not sure it has them now in any case, but
I said, I
if
think
it
they
does,
were
they'll be removed.
shifting around, quote, living space, that this used to count as living space and
Okay.
they're moving it, I guess,
Was
somewhere.
there something being done with the parking lot? They were creating more parking area, I don't think it's really part of this, the sewage disposal thing, but it seemed to me that they were solving a parking
Yeah, because
issue
people
there.
are having to park down below,
Yeah,
and I think
yeah.
everybody will be up above.
It just seemed to be a plan that was solving a whole lot of problems with,
But it's very complicated.
it will make, I imagine the picture's gonna look a little bit more developed than this when they're finished, that there will be less green space.
I don't know, I didn't think they were taking down very many trees. I'm assuming this is the garage they were talking about, if you look. This
You
here,
have it turned to match,
or is it this?
that matches like that, doesn't it?
Well, this is-
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not, cottage there, like,
Well,
or someplace over in, I don't remember.
this,
I didn't walk it, so.
this is, see, there's an existing building here, the lake house, so this must be.
That's the lake house
Oh,
there.
okay, so then we have to come around this way.
Somebody lives there, don't they?
I think
You see,
the
this
family
would, yeah,
members
this would be this building,
Okay.
and then there's that one, and then that one.
okay.
It's confusing because some of the rooftops are black, some of them.
Didn't realize there was Berkshire around there, I thought that was still,
Well,
that's the ones that,
it's like, pretty continuous, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
Pacha's kind of,
Well,
just tucked in there.
if
Yeah.
you were there, you know, before they put up the dam at the Nemasket River, you would have seen the boundaries between the ponds,
yeah.
but
I know when
Since
you're
they
walking Betty's, there's
put in a
that strip
dam-
that goes out,
it's all one body of water today.
yeah.
So they were
Okay.
separate, they were actually separate.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Because
that
the
hasn't been done
steamboat
in,
didn't
that
get
was
over.
done a long time before your lifetime.
Oh, yeah. But the steamboats never got into Berkshire, I don't think, because they couldn't get through there.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we, approve our satisfaction with the site plan on.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Do you wanna just send a little memo to the planning board, or?
Okay. Can I say we cheer?
Yeah, absolutely, unless someone in the room objects to acknowledging,
No.
I think I've already cheered and clapped at the Conservation Commission meeting thing.
old business, the casino, draft,
I'm sorry, who seconded?
Don.
No, okay.
I've looked at the document, I don't really believe there's anything that has an impact on Lakeville Open Space, and I don't see any reason to go any further with the document on this, at this committee meeting, or another open space meeting. So I would just remove it. I'm going to jump a little bit here. Mike has drafted memos to the Board of Selectmen and to the Planning Board. With the Planning Board, we're adding floor area ratio to the list of potential zoning items for discussion with them. And you can see Mike's
If I had looked at the minutes before I did the memos, I would have seen that that was what we had.
So it's, we really would like to meet with the planning board to discuss the floor area ratio, open space subdivision, incentive bylaws, and the proposed changes for Bedford Street. So we're just asking them to meet with us. Hopefully everybody's okay with that. At last month's meeting, I handed out, well, let's go with this. The Howland Road property, there was an article in the newspaper, in the Gazette, where, Selectman Beliveau talked about the property going up for bid, and that there were no responses, and that apparently the state does want it, and if we can agree on a price, we will sell it to the state for conservation purposes. At this point, Mike has also drafted a memo to the selectmen, basically, claiming that we are in support of selling it, and that, we will do whatever they would like us to do to help with the situation. But the memo is here, you can read it, and do you have a copy, Don?
I don't. Maybe I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right here.
And I have a copy of the newspaper article if anyone wants to see, it's circled.
Enthusiastic. Enthusiastically supports.
Am I the only one that was enthusiastic?
Are we? I was amused by your choice of words.
Well, if it
Are
amuses the
we-
selectmen, that will be
Are
good.
we convinced that if the state buys it, it'll stay conserved?
If Joan Pierce has anything to do with it, it will.
Yeah, I believe that it will, I believe that's why they want to purchase it, so that they can add it to their wildlife corridors. It would, from my understanding, there would be public access, it would be a place where people would go to hunt, and do other things that you do on conservation land,
Is it
but
contiguous with other similar land?
it certainly is close, maybe just across Howland Road from some forest land, that,
I was thinking the other side of the Freetown State Forest.
Yeah, it's close.
yeah, well,
But-
I'm not sure it's necessarily part of the Freetown State Forest, but there's a large private, area of forest land that's over in Freetown, and I probably don't know as much about Freetown open space as I should. But I do believe that it's part of this corridor that they're attempting to create. I don't know if we show anything.
One more link in the necklace, thinking of.
Are you thinking of, what's it, I'm sorry. They
I
go out
can't
of office and I forget their names.
No, he wasn't in office, but he's the one, you know, who did the,
It was appointed, yes, he was appointed by
Was
the
he?
governor, yes. You're talking about the guy who was,
who did you,
Betty's Neck and all of that.
did you do Betty's Neck?
Yeah, he
I think
was
we
at
maybe,
this.
I'm talking, I heard something a long time ago, Boston, the chain of parks, Fenway and all of that.
Homestead.
Homestead, yes.
Oh, okay, no, I'm sorry, no, I'm thinking
I was thinking of somebody more recent.
yes,
Following in his footsteps.
but, is everyone okay with the memos?
Yeah.
Can we go ahead and send them? Okay, I don't think we need to vote on it, but, the other thing that I handed out at last month's meeting was, a draft property review and evaluation form that people were going to look over and decide whether or not they thought it was adequate for our purposes, and then a draft of procedures for reviewing properties that come out of the Chapter 61 program. I don't know if anybody has any comments or.
Well, actually, I did. the one that is the property review and evaluation form, there's some, you could kind of say it's covered, but I would put a different emphasis on some of them. Just thinking of that not just what plants are of note, but what to what extent is the property overrun with invasives, and is what is the potential for it as a part of a wildlife corridor? What other contiguous open space is there? What potential is it for vista protection? And another thing that I think is important when you're evaluating whether a piece of property should be preserved or not is, if especially if it's an isolated piece, is it a large? I mean, ideally it would be a round circle, but no property ever comes that way. But if it's a little skinny S-shaped type of thing that meanders all over the place, it has so much edge, it's not that significant. But if it is large and contiguous, excuse me, said that stupidly. If there is a large area that is compact, without a lot of edge, then the greater that characteristic is, the more valuable it is. So it's something to note. What is the shape of the property? Is it compact or is it sprawling?
Well, there'll be maps.
Yeah, but just to note that, because if you're evaluating how significant this is to buy, that's something to consider. If you wanted to preserve
And you
it
don't
as open
think
space.
having a plot map attached to
Well,
this
you
would,
could be there, but to make the comment, I mean, if you're looking at it, it's something that you would need to note. It's just, if you're, almost like a point system, if,
oh,
Or maybe even,
a machine.
maybe even just make note of the shape on the plot line, not necessarily
just say
commenting.
whether it is significant. And I think that however the property is used, I think you talk about any signs of fire, flooding, vandalism, and so forth, what exists on the property, but a focus would be, what was it, how was it used? What evidence is there of how it was used? I mean, if it's land that has been gravelled, that's one thing. If it's land that has been farmed, that's another. If it has been just forested, there isn't any primeval forest around here, but
So you don't think that what exists on the property is adequate enough to cover that?
no.
So what would you add?
Well, I would work in some of the phrases that I have here, and I would be happy to kind of rewrite some of them.
That's perfectly fine, you may take that assignment if you'd like.
Okay.
Now, I was trying to keep it to one sheet,
Mm-hmm.
because when you're out in the field and you're making notes and everything, this would be what you would take out to the field.
Yes,
And you would scribble on,
right, okay, I will keep that in mind, and if you don't mind, I would enjoy reworking
absolutely,
it.
please.
No, I've got this, I don't
Oh.
need that.
And how about the draft of the procedures?
I didn't have any problems with that.
There it is. They're done, do you have copies of this?
Okay, thanks.
This will be Mike for next month, right?
Because it seemed, the only thing it gets me thinking as far as the field card that you're talking about, or what Mike's working on, is I wonder if we could do that form in the form of almost like a checklist, as opposed to, you know, for instance, if I'm going with somebody else and maybe it's not Mike, I don't know, you know, I'm not gonna know plants, but you can certainly know, you know, did you notice any plant species that you think might be different than, I mean, I wouldn't have that worded out, but to do it almost
To
like
make
a
it
check
as
mark.
easy as possible
Yeah.
to take notes, yeah.
Particularly since you're out, you really have no idea what the conditions
Yeah.
are going to be, and
Yeah. At least enough on the field card that if there is something that, like I said, I'm not gonna know the plants, but I'm certainly gonna notice, gee, I've never seen that particular plant before, that could be something different than, you know, maybe others might have an interest in seeing, is it something?
or just looking at an area, and if it doesn't look familiar to you, it looks like something that you would consider special, then you just note it, and then you get somebody back.
Yeah,
You go find somebody that might be interested, and you call them. I mean, this is preliminary, and so we're okay with the procedures. It's just the card that we will work on. Okay, which brings us back to our charge. I've received nothing from the selectmen, so until we get something back, I guess we have to go with the charge that was this one says amended June 24, 2013, but I don't remember that we did that. But anyway, until we hear back from the selectmen, I don't know that there's anything that we can do. So I'll just leave it on the agenda just so we don't forget about it. The next item that I have on the agenda is the open space plan and the website. The plan is not up on the website. I think it needs to be, it should be. Everything that we've done has said you can view the plan on the website. I realize that the staff here at the town offices is overworked, but I think that maybe sending a note or a memo saying that really it needs to be on the website.
This is a little like hindsight is too bad, but we didn't we turn down some funds because we didn't really need them? Or was that the Conservation Commission that did that? Didn't we have the potential for funds from Serpent? Wasn't there some?
We spent all of their
we
grant
spent
money.
all of ours. I thought there
Yes.
was some additional thing that was whether it was a part of
Well, I'm not, we have
part of-
one webmaster, and I'm not sure that other people can just come in and, and be a
so it has to
webmaster.
be done through.
I
Our
don't know.
one webmaster is
Tracy,
Tracy.
and I know she's her hours and what she has to do is tough to do it, but I don't know what we can do to facilitate getting it online, but it would be, Don was broke it all down into small segments so that it could go up, and that was a couple of months ago.
I checked with her about 2 weeks ago, and she said, I still haven't had a chance to put the files up. We do have another option, but it would cost money. We could pay for web storage space, for example at TMLP, and put all our files there, and then all she would have to do is create a link on the town website to that storage space. Users wouldn't even know. I mean, it would just appear in their computer.
Would there be,
But
do
there's-
you have any idea how much we're talking about?
I still pay for TMLP on a yearly basis. It's $100, and I think we the town get a special deal from them, so it probably would be less.
Maybe we should asked, about the possibility of whether or not we should go to a separate.
I think if we ask the question, it might force the issue, and the files will magically be uploaded the way we planned
Well-
long ago.
I don't know what she's paid, but would you think that $100 worth of her time would be required to get it up?
Well, I think if we rented the web space, I'd upload the files and then give her a simple little link, about that long, and
Yeah.
put on the town webpage.
What are the other reports on the website on that? I remember reading the master plan and a few other reports online. Are those just on the town website? Or?
Yeah, they're as Tracy puts them up, I don't
Probably.
know how.
Yeah.
Probably. I think we, the town, get that website, I think we get it for free.
Mhm.
The LakevilleMA.org, I think we get for free, and it's a predetermined template that she can manipulate slightly, but doesn't have a lot of artistic
Right.
autonomy to
Mhm.
change.
Well, I would rather see the plan up in its entirety, where you can it just flows from one section to the next, so that you can, flip back and forth and skip around. Unlike this casino thing, they put chapter, so you have to close one chapter before you can open another chapter, and if you wanna go check something out in a reference section, you have to, and maybe you bookmark things, I'm not very good at doing things like
This-
that, but,
This was given to her as, I'm looking from memory, 10 to 12, I chunked it into 10 to 12
Yep.
pieces, each one smaller than some size limitation in terms of megabytes. They're PDFs, so if you're observing it, if you're reading it, you'd click on it, it would open a PDF on your computer screen. If you clicked on another link, it would open a second PDF. So you'd have these as individual PDFs open on your computer. You could toggle back and forth or among various PDFs. But they're not linked together, so they're essentially separate documents.
well, would someone like to prepare a memo asking where we go, or how we solve the problem there?
You can just ask me.
You think it should be just a verbal? Would you, okay, thank you. That concludes our agenda. One thing that I wanted to ask was where the committee wants to go. What do you want to do or accomplish this year?
I think we need to open our plan and see what needs to be done for our plan.
You wanna just, we did,
Not now, but
no, we did 2 meetings ago, everybody took assignments on the plan, and if that's what the committee wants to do, then I would say I have my list that we move forward with that.
did we met some time ago with, 2 or 3 meetings ago with some of our neighbors and friends from the water board. Is that discussion gonna pan out in any way and do anything useful?
I heard nothing from them, but the impression that I got was that they're really only focused on piped water. They're not really concerned with water resources. It's whether or not if the water isn't running in a pipe, they're not particularly.
The way I approached that when I first talked to them, actually one person, was to ask if they would consider an expanded authority. Would they consider broadening their focus from just water in pipes to all water? And the answer I got was yes. But maybe it didn't come across that way when we met.
I didn't get that feeling, but I did though, find this in my mailbox. If you remember, we met with the Economic Development, Committee, the new committee, and this is, I'm not quite sure why it ended up in my mailbox, but, thought people might be interested in seeing what's being handed out.
I assume everybody got the survey in their,
Yes,
Yeah.
in your
at the tax bill or the census, what was it in?
it came with the tax bill, which was kind of, but I was a little shocked by my tax bill. I guess I shouldn't have been because I had fair warning, but.
It was a little higher.
Yeah, the rate, my value actually had gone down,
Yeah,
but
the rate,
my
yeah,
rate,
yes, yes.
so the value of my house went down, but I'm paying more for it, so.
What survey are you referring to?
The one that came out in the tax,
Economic
bill from
development.
the
Economic
EDIC.
Development Council, they,
I don't remember seeing it.
it's,
Sort of
it's
a
very
version of
much the same
Lakeville.
kind of a survey that we sent out, except it was like very shortened. But they don't give you choices of things to say, you have, am I right, but you have to fill in words, you don't
Yeah,
have many
it's
choices.
a lot of your own thoughts
Yeah,
and
yeah.
opinions.
I'll ask my wife if she.
Sort of on like what type of business would you like to see in Lakeville?
What do you like about
What do you like
Lakeville?
about Lakeville? Yeah.
I think we've seen those questions before.
Yes, well, it was all very familiar. But the fact, we talked about trying to send it out, there was some reason why we could not send it out with a town bill or something like that.
Because they can only send out so many pages, and if someone else had already asked to have something mailed,
Ah, okay.
there's a page limit.
Okay. So if we just stuck to one page. Well, I'm going to be very interested to see what I hope that, I'd like for us, if we don't hear from them, then I think we need to ask, say, what did you get back? It would take them so you have to have if it's with, I don't know if there was a time limit on it. Do you know?
I want to say it was like February 1st.
Okay, so
Because I know I just looked at it last night, and when I saw it wasn't a sort of a checkbox, I said, oh, it's going to take time, I'll do it.
You can do it
Another day.
online,
But
it's
it
on
was,
Survey
I think it was
Monkey.
February 1st, something like that.
I hope,
It said return with your tax bill,
I'll ask my wife.
and then bills are due on the
She
first.
opened the bill, so she probably threw it out.
oh dear. Well, of course, see, that may happen with a lot of people. Just, that little extra piece of stuff that, you never read the stuff that comes with your electric bill, do you?
We need to.
All those
Isn't-
environmentally sound recommendations that,
Need to include an inducement to take $1 off your tax bill if you return the survey. Are we done?
If people are interested in looking at this, we are done, we've been through the agenda, we can, entertain, adjournment, if somebody would like to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
All in favor?
Right?
We'll go back to the first Wednesday of, February, for a February meeting. I can't see the calendar,
February 5th.
okay. Will be our next meeting.